Ladies and gents, welcome back. For the past 100 years or so, the West has been a beacon for people from backwards countries and totalitarian regimes to break their chains, come live here and live freely. This has been no exception for Canada. Canada has opened its arms to people from around the world that want to come live in a free society, take their own personal responsibility, and live here freely amongst other Canadians. But the Trudeau government has seen an exception to this in the form of allowing China to step foot on our borders and police their own people. This from the Post Millenial. Trudeau government allows China to open police stations in Canada to monitor Chinese nationals. A new report revealed that China has set up dozens of overseas service stations, in quotes, in order to police Chinese nationals living abroad, including 3 such facilities in Toronto. Now, Chinese nationals would be considered people who have just completely immigrated here, but they're still considered Chinese nationals to China. On September 12th, human rights watchdog Safeguard Defenders published their latest report on the phenomenon of Chinese transnational policing. And the report is here. I'll leave a link in the description down below for this report. 110 overseas Chinese transnational policing gone wild. The group revealed that over the past year, China has set up dozens of overseas stations in order to police Chinese nationals living abroad, including 3 such facilities in Toronto. According to the report, Beijing has been attempting to combat the growing issue of fraud and telecommunication fraud by Chinese nationals living abroad, in quotes, with 230,000 being persuaded to return to China to face criminal charges between April 2021 and July 2022 alone. Now, when they say combating issues of fraud and telecommunication fraud, it's hard to know what they mean by that. It's famous that they are very, very loose when it comes to fraud, i.e. Intellectual property theft from the West and producing knockoffs for the world writ large. So I believe this needs to be taken with a grain of salt with their definition here of the words that they use in going after people, but it's basically transgressions against the Communist Party and transgressions against the state in China. Now, we know that people emigrating are trying to break free from this, so if they're not breaking any Canadian laws, we should have no issue with them whatsoever. Our newest investigation out today comes with 5 major revelations. China's global policing and transnational repression. A new law adopted to the 2nd of September established full extraterritoriality over Chinese and foreigners globally for certain crimes. This is just unbelievable. Like the reach that China is trying to grab at. I have an article here. China's digital dictatorship goes global. China is the world's salesman when it comes to information technology. It exports most cameras, laptops, computers, and TV screens. Nearly every smartphone that is sold around the world was produced in the factories of China. 9 out of the world's top 12 smartphone makers are headquartered in the Middle Kingdom. One thing to note, though, they don't make processors. They don't make the silicon chips. They don't have the technology for it. Serpensa ZA has a YouTube channel, and he covered this in depth, actually. And it was a really interesting video where he talked about the fact that they have all this technology, but it's really just the bits and bobs that they can put together. It's the labor that they have as an economy. They don't have this specialization that you'll see like from Silicon Valley, for example. Increasing, however, China is not just exporting ICT goods, it's exporting digital authoritarianism. The Chinese leadership has used digital technologies to cement its grip on power. Surveillance cameras, autonomous drones, citizens' data are all being used to advance the Communist Party's interests and stifle any opposition. Big data meets Big Brother. George Orwell's nightmare vision is coming true, and it's coming from China, the world's first digital totalitarian state. Now, an increasing number of countries is interested in learning from China, and Beijing is happy to teach them. We see things coming here in Canada. They're pushing for digital IDs. The Arrive Can app was the precursor for that, which good thing. Thank a trucker, ladies and gents. Go thank a trucker for the fact that that is being canceled this Saturday, and only because it's expiring and they don't have the political support to reinstate it. It has held seminars with representatives from more than 30 countries on regulating the digital spaces, provided capacity building on how to regulate the digital realm to Uganda and Tanzania, both of which have afterwards introduced Chinese-style internet controls and cybersecurity laws. I'll leave the rest of this article for you guys to read in your own time, but definitely check it out in the description down below. Very interesting read. On September 2nd, the new law was passed in China, giving the government more authority when it comes to handling online fraud committed by Chinese citizens overseas. It is set to come into effect December 1st. One way the government keeps tabs on its citizens in other countries is via the aforementioned service stations, which are operated either by Fuzhou or Qingtan public security bureaus. According to the report, as of September 2022, there are 54 such stations located in 30 countries. While most nations have only 1 or 2 stations, Canada is unique in that it has 3, all located in Toronto. According to the National Post, the locations of Toronto stations render them nearly invisible to the public. One is listed as a private home, a second is in a largely Chinese mall, and the third in the office of a Chinese nonprofit. China has defended its practice of setting up what are essentially police stations in other countries, but keep in mind, they've defended their practice of gathering up the Uyghur Muslims. So this is nothing defensible. They have defended their practice of setting up essentially police stations in other countries, saying that the majority of the work done there is akin to what take place at an embassy. However, not many are convinced, even given the regime's record. Now, why can't you just do it from your embassy? You do have an embassy in Canada. Several. You don't need these extra and hidden in plain sight. Really unusual. Sorry, my camera's doing a thing. Safeguard defenders pointed out that the report, while China's actions were taken under the guise of fighting crime, in some cases, citizens living overseas who had not been charged with anything were harassed, eventually persuaded to return to China. Charles Burton, who formerly served as a diplomat in the Canadian embassy in Beijing, warned that China was extending the grip of its Orwellian police state in his own country, and slammed Canada's national security agencies for their lack of action. And that brings us to the point. When people move away from these terrible countries and their main goal is to get away from that, as a country, we should support them in that decision by giving them a safe haven. We have refugee laws for reasons. We have, refugee programs so that people can escape terrible regimes. I believe that China should be listed under one of these terrible regimes. I know the Trudeau government is very affectionate towards China. He's stated that he admires China for their basic dictatorship and how they can do things using extrajudicial processes. I'm paraphrasing here, because they could turn things around on a dime, he said. And we can't have that. We can't have that. We should be a bastion for freedom around the world, and we should be protecting individuals that come here and want to celebrate freedom and help us extend this freedom and actually bring it back. We need to bring a lot of our freedoms back. And those individuals that are coming from horrible places, they want to see the most freedom possible. Let's stand with them on that. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this story. Tonight, I will be on Alison Morrow's channel. We had a little bit of a hiccup before we scheduled me to be on the channel a few weeks back, but on the day she had a baby. So congratulations, Alison, on that day for having your baby, new member of the family. Congratulations, absolutely. But yeah, check it out tonight, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Check your local listings. I'll be on the channel. And we'll be talking about, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about tonight. So check it out. That should be a lot of fun. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Hit that notification bell, lets you know when I go live. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.